still my town. My town.
Welcome back to Connecting Clarkston. This is Season 2, Episode 21. And it's a very fun day to be here in studio because we have two very important guests here. Katie and I are welcoming Andy Brown, who is the owner of Waterfall Jeweler, but also part owner of the Fountains. Well, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We have Al Kuhn, who is also part owner of the Fountains. Thanks for being here, Al.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate your time. And I want to say this is like a little special day because we've yet to have a husband-wife team on our show.
Well, we're not quite.
Yeah, we're not.
I'm not like, oh, this is... The reason I was saying it's special because earlier this year we had Christy, Andy's wife, on our podcast, and that was an amazing episode. Go check it out if you haven't. Christy Brown episode.
We have no idea.
We don't know.
But she is intuitively strong, right?
Yes.
That's what we were talking about.
Yes, and she's so fun. I play tennis with her, and she's amazing. So this is a fun day to have her other half.
Yes.
So anyway, welcome to both of you. Thanks for taking time out. I know golf season's just starting, so it's probably like a crazy busy time for both of you.
It's a beautiful sunny day
A
outside.
little busier for Al than me,
It's a
probably.
good
Right
time of year.
Yeah.
Good time of year.
Good time of year. It's all good. Well, can we start by, can you tell us your connection to Clarkston? How long have you been here? What's your story about Clarkston?
That's a great question. So I'm born and raised basically in Waterford, although I grew up on Waterford Hill, which is in Independence Central. But I've been at Fountains, which was Spring Lake at the time, for almost 50 years, which is hard to believe.
Wow,
Really? I started playing out there in 1974.
Wow.
And I started getting a paycheck. I was employed there starting in the early 90s. Left for 10 years and then came back in 2008, and I've been there since 2008. So,
Nice. I feel like Larry would always talk about how he used to go to the gym there.
yeah.
What?
So
There
how
was-
did that work? It was
there
a golf
gym. There
course
was
and a gym?
It has been through many iterations.
Okay.
There was a time when the lower level was a gym and the upper level was the restaurant.
Okay.
It has been expanded a couple of different times. Currently, the upstairs is more of a private event setting, weddings, showers, sports banquets,
We've been there when it's been a comedy club.
comedy shows,
Yeah.
yes. And then the lower level tends to be where the golfers congregate during the summer, and then it's a restaurant with a bar.
The bar is.
Yeah.
And the bar
So-
during, so it's open to the public all year round.
So Ann's brother.
Yes, my brother's band is Whiskey Business, and they play there.
Yep, great bands on
occasion.
Saturday nights. So
Yeah,
yes,
all fun tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun place. Well, I feel like when we talked a long time ago, the Fountains has been around even longer than that, though, right? That golf course has been there. Maybe
Yeah.
not called the Fountains, obviously, but
So we have some history that I believe 1965. There may be somebody out there that can correct me,
Yeah.
but
wow.
I have a trophy from 1967 when a fellow by the name of Charlie Haddon won the club championship.
Okay.
So it was Spring Lake up until the early 90s. Then it was Clarkston Creek for a few years.
Oh, I remember. I think I had friends.
And then
that
it
worked
was
there.
Liberty
Yeah.
Oh, I remember
for
Liberty.
about 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
And then when the current crew purchased it, it became the Fountains in 2008. So
Hopefully, we won't have to change it again.
that's
Yeah.
right. So hopefully that's got a long lifespan in it as the Fountains. So
it's amazing,
yes,
yeah.
I've seen a lot of a lot of the changes along the way, and it's we like to think it's still an integral part of the community. So
Absolutely. It's not often you have a full golf course right here, like in a neighborhood, essentially, like in this little
It is.
neighborhood.
We're
right in town.
There's
So
not a lot
accessible.
of businesses on Mabee Road in our stretch. Us and the cemetery.
Wow. Let's golf instead.
It is. So
How did the Fountains name? How did you guys land on that name?
that's a great question. Maybe Andy could.
My dad had a little something to do with that. They
Okay.
wanted with that giant fountain. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's not. It all depends.
Yes.
But you see the large fountain out on Spring Lake when you go down Mabee Road, usually on the weekends, the lights on, everything. And I think, if I remember correctly, there was another one. That one's a little bigger than the original, I think.
Yes.
There was a couple, and so it just became kind of a natural name. I wish there was probably a better story for it.
Yeah, there's not a good story. About
I told my dad for years, and I'll keep harping on it now until we put another fountain in somewhere. It should be called the Fountain.
That's right.
Because there's only one. But
only one.
Such a good point.
Maybe this is the year. Maybe there's a fountain.
Maybe this
I
is
said it
the-
only has to be a little one
Yeah.
somewhere to make
Mini
two. That's
fountain.
it. But
I never even thought about that. That's so funny.
oh yeah, we've
Yeah.
been hassling about it for years.
Yeah.
We talked about how you landed here, and we talked a little bit about the naming of the fountains. Your family's been here for a long time, right, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, if I was trying to figure it out, I was thinking about this a little bit earlier, and I know it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 70-ish years. I mean, not all in Clarkston, but in that area. I mean, my dad grew up on Van Norman Lake off of Andersonville. My family's been in that Waterford, Clarkston, like Al said, kind of Independence Township area. I was born and raised in Clarkston. We lived on Greens Lake when I was little, and we moved over, and I lived on South Main Street. My mom really just moved out of there, I think, 10 years ago or so.
Yeah.
But now I'm in Clarkston too, right behind Vine Knob, so
Yeah.
never really left.
That's amazing. Well, and Christy's from Holly too,
Christy's
right?
from
So-
Holly, so yeah, we're all local, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I think the farthest away we got was White Lake, so that was, you know.
Well, I feel like that's kind of what we're all about. Is we're both from Clarkston, and there's a reason people stay and generations. Obviously, you guys have a couple generations now,
Yeah.
3 generations, right?
Yep.
And that's kind of one of the missions of our whole podcast is to talk about what's so great about it and why are we staying. Like, and partly it's the people, obviously, but the businesses too. Like having a golf course, and we'll get to the jewelry store. Like, there are just some things about the community that are
It's a good place to be.
It's a good place. Yeah, it adds
Absolutely.
so much, and
It is
I don't know.
fantastic.
And it's grown so much around here too.
Yeah.
It's kind of wonderful because everything is even more accessible now than it used to be even when I was growing up as a kid and everything.
Right.
But Clarkston very much still, the area as big as it is now has still a really small town vibe to it.
It definitely
You know.
does. We made a little connection when, we'll just go back to that night when we were talking about earlier, we were at the Brown's house, and we were talking about how my youngest brother went to Lakes. We all, so I have 7 brothers. 7 of us went to Clarkston, but the youngest went to Lakes. We'll get to that story later, Matt. Anyway, and you and Matt played football together.
Yep.
You used to drop him off at home after practice.
Live pretty much across the street, so yeah.
That's so funny.
So
That
we're
is
over
a
there.
Small world.
It was such a spot. We're just having drinks and celebrating Kevin's birthday, and we're like, "Oh my gosh, we have this connection." And
That's
that
cool.
kind of
That's
stuff
good.
doesn't really happen. And
No, there's not a lot of
Bigger
places
towns.
you can go, but
Right.
every day the world gets a little bit smaller.
definitely, definitely. So let's talk about Waterfall Jewelers, because that I know it's a huge part of your family's history and legacy.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
did you guys get into the jewelry business? How did that
So
happen?
Waterfall opened in 1979 with my grandfather, Tom Sr., and my dad. My dad didn't have much background in the jewelry business, but my grandfather had managed a store in downtown Pontiac called Shaw's Jewelers for, I'm misquoting probably, but something like 20 years before that. And decided that he wanted to do it on his own. Waterfall Plaza was brand new at the time, and recruited my dad to kind of come back in, and they opened the store, the original store in the plaza in 1979. Over the course of 30-ish years, we knocked out 2 walls and made it a little bit bigger. Shortly after they opened, my aunt and uncle came back. They lived in Texas at the time. I think we've had something along the lines of 23 family members that are or have worked at the store at some point in
That's
its history.
amazing.
2019, the bank closed right next door. We bought the bank, moved in there. In 2010, actually almost exactly 14 years ago, coming up on it, we opened our White Lake store. So
Gosh, I can't believe it's been
we're
open
3rd
that
generation.
long.
I've got a couple little boys. Maybe one of them will end up being the 4th. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
Or both of them, right?
yeah, who knows? I mean, but I work now. Even now, I work with my cousins, my aunt. My dad retired a few years ago, and it's really all in the family business. So
Is it a thing where it's, I mean, from the outside, it seems like it must be such a great place to work that, family just chooses to be there. I mean,
we have
it's-
a lot of people that even that aren't family that I consider family now because they've been with us for so long. And it takes a certain type of attitude to work with your family every day.
Yeah.
You have to be able to separate things, and I think we do a pretty good job of that. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I bet, like, I'm looking at you. You have 2 watches. Just now that you're in, is that a watch?
This is a Whoop band.
Oh, I
fitness
was like,
yeah.
maybe that's the new
Not heard of the
trend.
Whoop
Yeah,
band.
no,
The jewel
the
business.
double watches is not.
No, okay.
No, that's-
I was gonna get ahead of things. Dang it. What the heck is
it's
a
like a
watch?
Fitbit on steroids.
Yeah.
It gives you like
Oh.
crazy data.
Yeah.
So
Oh, really? I've never
Yeah.
heard of that. Okay.
So are you, like, what makes somebody technically a jeweler?
well, so if you want to get technical, I am not a jeweler
Okay.
per se. The jeweler traditionally would be the guy that you referred to that sits down and works at the bench and works on pieces and does repairs, settings, makes jewelry, etc. You know, we call ourselves jewelers, gemologists, etc. But I mean, for me, I was born and raised in it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but there are programs through GIA and AGS where you can really go to school. It's almost like a trade school.
Okay.
So to be a watchmaker, to be a jeweler, to be a, you know, but our store is full service. We have jewelers on site. We have gemologists in the store. We have, you know, we do repairs, sales, custom designs, everything. So what makes you a jeweler? Tricky question.
Yeah.
Like I said, by the technical definition, I'm
Yeah.
not, but
Okay.
You're born
you
into
know,
By
it.
experience.
we have
Yeah.
a jewelry store. That's the, you know.
A gemologist, is it what I think? Like that's the person who's the expert in all that?
Yeah, so like somebody were going to do an appraisal on a piece of jewelry that you have. I mean, and that to be a gemologist, that is a credential. There's education, secondary education for that, almost like getting a college degree.
Okay.
And there's varying levels of it too. So you have a graduate gemologist, a certified gemologist, and then a certified gemologist appraiser. And it's kind of like getting a bachelor's, a master's, and a doctorate in being.
Oh my gosh.
Not know
I don't
I have
have
one
that.
more like boring question, and then we can go back to the good stuff. Can we talk about the price of gold?
It's insane.
And
It's
Not very
nuts.
boring.
it's insane.
It's insane.
It is insane. Okay, maybe that's all we had to talk about.
I mean, it's when I left, it was almost this afternoon. It was almost $2,400 an ounce. I mean, we're looking at right now what's almost a 25% increase in the past, I don't know, 2 months or so, which is like
Wow.
unheard of.
I guess I just
So-
don't even understand. Like we just sold a couple of things,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we were anticipating like $100, and it was like $1,000.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, that was good. We were happy
Yeah,
with that.
right.
But then I'm like, what are you going to do with this? How are they going to recoup their money on that? Because I think they were class rings.
Oh yeah.
So I don't like that whole world is a
We sell
mystery
to a
me.
refinery then.
Okay.
And they
Okay.
in turn go through and again refine that gold, remove the alloys, et cetera, and whatever, and turn it into pure gold again.
Okay.
Which again is used to remake jewelry, fix jewelry, gold stock, et cetera, make coins. Who knows? But we don't do any of that in house.
So like when you see it jump, when you're saying today, so every day you're watching that
Yeah.
fluctuate, and doesn't it make you not want to buy it back when it's so high,
The
knowing
thing
that
is,
it's
I
going
mean,
to come lower?
for us, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
It's something we don't tend to sit on often. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You've
Yeah.
got to pay attention to the price.
Yeah.
Just like watching a stock market. If stock goes up and down, if you're holding a bunch of money in it, you're going to buy, sell, et cetera, accordingly.
Yeah.
We kind of do the same thing.
Okay.
The hard part with gold prices for us is our inventory. You know, because if I have to call and order a piece, or if I have to buy something else, or I have to, now it costs us more too. So
Yeah.
it's
Right.
it's nice to have a good solid price, but at the same time, the higher the price goes, the more expensive everything gets for everybody.
everybody.
So,
Yeah.
Are there certain places that you source all of it, or is it pretty varied?
I mean, we deal with 100 companies
you?
probably. So,
Do you have to
yeah.
like take trips and go and see all the stuff?
We
or-
don't. We do that a couple times a year. We belong to a couple trade organizations that have big shows once, twice, 3 times a year. So
Yeah.
we try to get to a few of those because then you can see, I mean, 1,000 vendors in one place. It seems
Yeah.
like, but we have a lot of companies that we have long-standing relationships with too that come to us. So it makes it a
Yeah.
little bit easier.
Are class rings still a thing?
we still do class rings.
Okay, because
Yeah.
I know when we were, we had a family member and had their class ring, and I was thinking, is this still something? I don't have high school kids. I don't have.
They offer a much wider variety of styling now than you think of like the traditional
Yeah.
class ring. Of,
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
The giant.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
some people just opt to go a different direction too,
Yeah.
but
oh,
I don't know.
That's a lot I didn't know. That's interesting about the gold.
Yeah.
Gold's the funny thing is gold is in a massive comeback in fashion right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yellow gold is what.
Yellow gold.
that
We're back to yellow. Okay.
Yep.
Huh.
Big time right now.
And you guys follow. I mean, how do you find out about the trends? And now I'm just kind of curious about.
that comes from going to those shows
Okay.
and seeing what generally you can tell by what companies are producing
Mm.
what is they're probably even more on top of it than we are
Yeah.
essentially. You know, and there's a lot of publications. You've got to do your reading, just like anything else. You've got to stay well versed, and you've got to stay up to date on what's happening in your industry. And sometimes you try to guess, and sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're not. But that's it, you know. It happens.
As Ann and I were talking about you coming on, I think we both had stories of Waterfall Jewelers just being very generous. And I think most of our community has had experience with, even somebody that I work with was telling a story the other day about how they stopped in for something and just had this amazing experience. And so I feel like, is that a philosophy of the business?
100%.
Okay.
I mean, there's a reason that we're here after, let's see, it's what, 45 years this year, you know, and 14 years in our other store. And again, you see the same people that work for us, that have worked with us for a long time. Customers, we're, you know, a third generation family business. We're on third and fourth generation customers.
That's amazing.
I mean, yes, we think we have great product, and we think we have, you know, competitive pricing and everything, but I think people really want to come. They like coming to see us, you know, as a store, as a whole.
Right.
They like the atmosphere, they like the environment, they like the people.
Yep.
That's really what we're selling.
Definitely.
You know?
I know I was telling her I went to get my husband's wedding ring because he had lost it like 20 years ago, and I'm like, maybe you should have a wedding ring. So I went and we got him one of our daughter was with us, and I forget who the woman was, and I wish I could remember her name. She was like, took Emmy over and said, hey, take a look at these rings here. And she just gave her like a little purple ring, and I was like, Emmy, you can't just take that. The lady, no, you can have it. It's like, that's just so sweet, and just, you know, a step beyond what normally happens.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's
Well,
really
we look
cool.
at it too, you know, in the town that we're from, that we're in, we don't want to be stuffy, and we don't want to be uppity, and that's not us. That's not our family dynamic. That's not our local, you know, demographic. It's not our, so we try to be laid back. We have fun. Odds are, if you walk in, you're going to catch us joking around, laughing, screwing around, doing something if we're not too busy. But you know, that's the atmosphere that we try to keep.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, how did you guys then decide to get involved in part owners of a golf course?
Yes.
How did that happen?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I've been in the golf business for a long time, 30 plus years. And I was at a different place, and Tom Brown, Andy's dad, with a couple other guys, had bought the fountains in May of 2008.
Yep.
And Tom came down to a different place that I was working at the time and said, we'd really like you to come. So it wasn't a hard twist because I had been there for a long time, so previous to. And so when I went, it was pretty easy for me to say yes to Tom and to go back to the fountains, Spring Lake, as I still some days call it.
Yeah.
And so, Tom, you know, his dad was great, fantastic, and as were the other partners that I've been with. So it was an easy no-brainer for me to go back there, and I love it. I go there and probably spend too much time there, but that's okay.
During let's see, we were married in 2005, so I think before 2005, had Jackson in 2008. I think that's when my super fun days stopped, but there was a period of time when we were at the fountains quite a bit. And we knew when you had not been at the fountains, and I think everybody was super happy when you returned to the fountains.
Yeah,
It feels
well.
like,
That's nice. Yeah.
There was a little one year.
Yeah, we took a 1 year hiatus down to
Yeah.
Oakhurst, so I kept it local.
yes.
Checking out
But
the
it was
competition.
a quick return back to
Yeah,
fountains.
I think everybody was super happy.
And
to-
no, I love it there. I've always enjoyed my time there, and much like Waterfall, I think, and probably partially because of Tom and his brother Rick Brown, who's also a partner, and Jim Schmidt. I'll put them all in there, and so we feel like we're part of the community, and I say that to people every single day. There are, you know, some golf courses that may not be quite like us. We're a little out there, but I mean, within the last 2 or 3 days, I think we've donated, you know, rounds of golf for our veterans things, to the Eagles, to the American Legion. So we try to be a part of the community, and we're way more than a golf course. Obviously, that is our driving force, but the restaurant is a big part of it, and the bar is a big part of it. The banquets are a big part of it, and so we see, much like Andy said, we've seen second generation people who have been married there, and then their daughters' baby or the baby showers or the wedding showers and the baby showers.
Yeah.
We've seen people, for a long time.
I think when you're talking about being part of the community too, because you're pretty active with SCAMP.
Yeah, somehow, yes. I'm on the board of SCAMP,
Yes.
which is
Okay.
a fantastic,
Yes, it is.
incredibly, and Waterfall's been very active as well. But yeah, so I've been on that SCAMP board for about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And it's something that Clarkston treats like gold, and rightly so.
Yeah.
My family's been teaching special ed for 30 plus years.
Wow.
My aunts and uncles. So it was an easy one for me to go and help out any way I can there.
Yeah.
So we host the golf outing, but secondary to that, there's summer shindig and the walk and roll. So it's got the heart of Clarkston for
Will
sure.
you be at the summer shindig?
I'm sorry.
Will you be at the summer shindig? Because it's
I-
at Emily Ford's house, right?
I sure hope
Yeah.
so.
Just, yeah.
We have 2 golf outings that day, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
So, but if I can, I
Yes.
just saw it. I know it's June 1st, so.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you Fountains and Waterfall are involved in a lot of charitable organizations. I mean, do you want to talk a little more about either one of you or both of you about that, because it's so important?
I mean, I can tell you for Waterfall, it's something we started, I think 2001. And hopefully my aunt, if she listens, I think I'm right. We've been doing what we call Batteries for Charity for 23 years now.
Okay.
I don't know how many dozens and dozens of charities we've sponsored over the years, but we always try to keep it local.
Yeah.
We have specific organizations that we donate to certain months out of every year. It started with, I believe it was Red Cross after 9/11.
Okay.
I think that was around the first one. And we, but like even now, the Lion, like I was saying, some of the others, the Lions Club, the Legion, Stuff a Bus,
Toy chest. Didn't you guys?
So,
do
yeah,
that?
we did
Just
the
did one
toy
for
drive
them.
this
Yeah.
December. That was a new
Yeah.
one. We partnered with Quest Realty with Matt Burney and did
Yeah.
the toy drive,
Yeah.
which was amazing.
What is the batteries?
So what we
explain that a
do
little
is
bit.
instead of charging for watch batteries, we would have somebody, if they were to come in, I shouldn't say charging, we still charge, but all the proceeds from all those watch batteries for each month, we usually do anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks at a time. The proceeds go directly to that local charity.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We can, on
wow.
average, between our 2 stores, raise somewhere in the neighborhood of probably $35,000 to $45,000 a year.
That is amazing.
For different local charities.
We can cut this part out too if needed, but so I think when I was a child, I think one of the things I heard a lot about is you guys were always giving away watch batteries.
Yep.
Yes, and I mean I think the fact that now you do charge for it but then donate it.
And what it
is
was
great.
before, and really I blame the IRS for that. We used to charge per se, but we used to have a jar on the counter.
Yeah, I
and
remember.
say, we're
I
not charging you
remember.
for a watch battery, just put a little something in the jar for
Yeah.
whatever local charity
Yeah.
it is. Now they need us to have a better accounting of that, but
Right.
that's,
Yeah,
it
that's
hasn't changed
great.
anything.
Yep.
Yeah.
The money still goes to charities. It's
Yeah.
really cool. And that's just one of, along with the silent auction items, the gift cards, we've hosted a few events in our stores specifically for different charities and things, and it's always something, and it's always very local. Our Waterford store always is Clarkston and Waterford-based charities. Our White Lake store, we try to get that Huron Valley area, but it all goes directly to those organizations. No big national organizations,
Right.
nothing. It's all stays in the community.
That's awesome.
That is so great.
And Fountain's the number
Yeah,
of
we
golf
do
outings.
golf.
Yeah, I was
We
gonna say, yeah.
do our fair share of golf outings,
Yeah.
and I would say probably 90% of them are raising money for something.
Okay.
Whether it's a girls' dance team or hockey or baseball, or whether it's for Cancer Society or leukemia, or so there's almost exclusively most of our outings are raising something. So, and we try and help. And there's a Waterfall hole sponsor sign darn near at every single
I would
one.
say
sure
most
of
of
it.
them,
And,
yeah.
and a gift basket that,
Yeah.
that can be auctioned off.
And
So-
probably a Waterfall team
yes,
about
and
Right,
yeah,
right.
so,
6 or 8 times a year too. So.
exactly. So, no, and that's where we said we feel like we're part of the community.
Absolutely.
We usually golf in a few outings over
Yeah.
the course of the summer. Ann and I are going to be at the Clarkston Chamber one.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to talk though when you're just saying about the whole sponsor. It made me think. So the Clarkston Masons usually have their golf outing there.
Cedar Lodge 60.
Yes,
Yes.
and was it last year that somebody hit the hole-in-one? We were right behind
priceless.
Were
him.
you?
Eric Jenks.
Oh my God.
Yes.
It was priceless.
It
So it's,
was crazy. I have videos
amazing.
of it.
It was the last, so you can imagine that it is a 5.5 hour day playing with a large group.
Yes.
And it is the guy, so they drop the motorcycle off early in the morning, 7:30, drive it out, put it on the tee. I'll keep it as short as possible. So the gentleman from the motorcycle store comes back to pick it up,
Because was it Arsenal? Is that right?
Arsenal,
Yeah.
M59.
Harley, right?
And he comes back, I said, well, yeah, we're down to the last group or two. Goes out on the course, so the man who's picking it up from Arsenal sees Eric Jenks, which this is his last full swing of the day.
No way. No way.
He may have had one or two beverages.
Couple.
And he knocks it in the hole and wins a free motorcycle. So it was
No
great.
way.
And he was golfing with his dad.
Yes. it was
I mean, and I feel like it couldn't have happened to
No, it was
like a nicer
fantastic.
person. It was
Yep.
fantastic.
yeah.
So.
That's so cool. Are there other stories of like great, like hold-ones?
that-
Like,
that
how
been the
often is that
only
They're on the
done?
list. No.
There's a few.
Can't be that many.
Some are
I mean, real ones.
yeah.
Real
The
ones.
best one ever was probably the back-to-back.
They were
no
back-to-back
Okay.
hole-in-ones.
In our
on
golf league.
In Andy's golf league
Our
on a
Wednesday night golf
so,
league. One of the guys was in a group, I think about 2 groups in front of us on number 11. And we have some pretty good money up for grabs in our league.
There's a couple
too.
dollars
So, you know,
available, yes.
and there's a little bonus if you make a hole in one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he stepped up. He hit a hole in one. Everybody went crazy. There were 4 or 6 guys, 8 guys that were around the tee box, celebrating, hooting, and hollering. They get up. They finish the hole. The next group steps up right behind them, and Jim Schmidt, who's one of the partners at the Mountains, knocks in a hole in one.
No way.
Back-to-back
Wow.
groups.
What in the world?
They wrote an article about it.
They
I think, in
did.
the Open Press.
Newsworthy.
Yeah.
When was that? How many years ago?
Ooh, 10, 12.
12 or so,
Yeah,
12,
14,
15.
yeah.
That's pretty
That was a long
amazing.
time ago, but
Yeah.
Gosh.
that was wild.
Now, do you have ties to the PGA? Is
I am a
there-
PGA golf professional.
Okay.
So I have been for almost 30 years, 28 years. So I tried to play the game for a living, and I played it to a decent level. And as I say, I played the minor leagues.
Okay.
And then upon deciding that was that, I was in Florida, and I came back here and have been on the other side now. I'd love to play, don't get me wrong, I don't play enough.
He's still an active player.
And I still can get it around a little bit, but now a little bit more on the management side and whatnot, which I love. But I mean, my day is 24. My day is all about people. I see people from the time I get there till the time I leave.
Yeah.
And you know, they're coming out to have fun.
Absolutely.
It's not a root canal. It's not a colonoscopy. They are coming on. I
Check that.
constantly, much like Waterfall, I tell our staff, you know, they're here to have fun.
Yeah.
You know, just don't get in their way. Help them.
Yep.
And-
You are such a people person too.
So-
Like you are definitely in the right role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, it seems
I
like
enjoy
both
it.
businesses have
Yes.
the same
He's
philosophy.
Al's the
Yeah,
best
very
person to
similar,
have, you
very
know, front
similar.
facing
So-
at the golf course
Yeah.
there for sure.
Yeah. Oh,
I think when you enjoy what you do, I think it shows through.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't envy you. I don't disappoint. I'm not disappointed getting up, going to work. Like I said, I probably work too much, but I love it. That is my home.
Yeah.
It's my second home. It might be my first home. So
If we see a pillow, just
yeah.
don't,
Oh yeah.
don't worry about it.
yeah.
You think about how many hours you work
Yeah,
and
so-
how many days you spend. I spend more time here with these people than I do at home
Oh,
with
yeah.
my family.
Yeah.
So.
So-
The
rare.
outdoor area, the patio, is beautiful, and I'm not sure, has that always been there? It seems newer and
Once
nicer,
again, I'll
but
give credit to Tom Brown.
Yeah.
So we used to have the portable fire pits with the propane that you would literally change out every single day.
Yeah.
Okay.
And 14 years ago, Tom had the foresight to put in the big, you know, so we've now got a gas line going directly, and it's fantastic.
To your question, Kate, there was a patio there
Yeah.
when
Okay.
my dad and Rick and those guys bought it. They kind of redid the back side of the building, the balcony up top for the back patio. We expanded the patio, put the fire pits in, everything, and that's become, I mean, thankfully we're just about to patio season here.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite places to sit.
It's,
Yeah.
it's a really
I think
cool.
I just wanted to mention, you can just go for dinner. You can just go sit
Yep.
on the
Yes,
patio.
yeah.
Like you don't
You do
have
not
to
have to
golf,
play
and
golf.
it's open to everyone, and it's beautiful.
Yes.
And
We get quite a few people on the
Yep.
weekends
It's
that just
a-
come to have lunch and
Yep.
sit on the patio or, you
It's
know.
a great spot to sit. It's
Yeah.
quiet. It's tranquil. It can be.
Yeah.
Are there any
Can be.
like? It can be. I've had some wild nights there. I feel
Yes,
like.
Depends on what time of day.
Exactly,
You know.
They have
exactly.
trivia too, right? Like,
Yeah, trivia on
all sorts of
Thursday
things.
nights, all in the off season has been a home run. So
I feel
Trivia will go away during golf season.
Yeah.
So
Makes
Yeah.
sense. I feel like there's probably some stories. Like you have probably some really fun stories about crazy things that have happened
Oh, or famous people.
on the course that you maybe you'd like to
Yeah.
share. I don't know. You
we've
can think
had,
about
you
it.
know, we do get. We've had. I mean, Dylan Larkin comes out and plays.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Kirk Gibson comes out and plays. So, you know, they're, yeah, but we don't. I mean, we don't see a ton of celebrities per se. But those two are. They'll be there a few times during the course
Yeah.
of the summer.
We say we're the people's golf course. That's it.
We are.
We have 25 leagues.
We are.
now, I think,
We're busy.
something like that.
We're busy
23,
spot.
25.
Okay.
You know, not unlike a lot of businesses, we see a lot of the same people
Yeah.
Yeah.
over and over and over. You know, the old
Yeah.
80% of your business comes from 20% of the people.
Yeah.
It might be 9 to 10 at Fountains, but you know,
You're keeping people happy. They're happy. They
Yeah.
come back.
They are.
So you're not going to tell us stories about streakers. That's fine. We don't have to hear
No,
those. or
we've
streakers.
had some stories,
I'm
but I'll
sure.
keep those under wraps.
Okay.
there's been some adventures.
It's
Episode 2.
it's a place where you can certainly make some memories.
I was thinking about that when we were thinking about the two businesses. Have there been any intersection, like, you know, proposals and like Waterfall
go get a
jeweler?
ring.
Yeah, like
You know, I don't
Proposals,
think
not-
Andy probably knows this, but my brother, who is Waterford Clarkston, he bought his wife's ring at Waterfall, and he proposed to her at what was then Spring Lake.
okay.
So it does happen, yes.
We get it. If you and we're at, I would say if any overlap, it's more the weddings itself.
Yes.
Because Fountains, we have a wedding venue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a wedding
You know,
venue.
so there's a little overlap there. Or like Al said with some
Yeah.
of the golf outings and things and stuff. I mean,
Okay.
the two businesses don't intertwine particularly,
Yeah.
you know, but
I bet watches
unless
have
guys
been
want to
bet.
play a lot of golf and then they need to buy the wife's jewelry, but that's fine too, you know. But
I was thinking like someone might bet their watch on a hole, like on a whim.
I'm sure there's been
I'm
things
sure
like
it's
that.
happened. I'm sure it has.
So
Oh,
funny.
that's so funny.
Yeah.
What are some things that are coming up that you guys want to promote or talk about in each, maybe, you know, each respective business? Any big events coming up?
For us, obviously starting this week or last week, the golf season is now upon us.
Yeah.
So it drives the business for the next 180 days.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we don't promote business, but it will be busy.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we promote probably a little bit more for fall, winter, and early spring with the trivia on Thursdays, the acoustical musical acts on Fridays, and then Saturdays we have the bands. For the next 6 months, it's game on.
Yeah.
You know, people are welcome to come for dinner. We're open. Post-COVID now, a lot of restaurants aren't open 7 days a week. We are. We're open
Or
every day.
late. What time are you guys open until on the weekend?
We don't announce a time, so
Okay.
it could be 11, it
Kitchen
could be
read that
12.
however you want to.
Generally,
But
A lot
9
of-
o'clock
11 or
so,
12
10
kitchens,
o'clock
A
for
lot of
kitchens.
places
Wow.
are
Yes.
closing down so early
Yeah.
still post-COVID.
Yeah, so
It feels like people want to stay
It's
out
hard
later.
to staff, and
Yeah.
it's, you know,
It is.
so we get that. You know,
Yeah.
fortunately, kind of like Waterfall at Fountains, we have had a staff that's
We-
been in place for the most part for a
Yes.
long time. And
Yeah, our staffing is, we changed our staffing and we changed our model a little bit post-COVID, but we're still open 7 days a week, and we're still open until, kitchen's probably open until 10 o'clock on weekends.
Okay.
At least.
Yeah.
Because it's light, and there are
Yeah,
golfers.
right.
Andy
Oh,
Brown
yeah.
may
Yep.
be one of them that's out there until
Yeah.
You'll catch me there a couple days a week,
9,
probably. So
9:55.
at whatever Al says time, sunset time, we have to be out the golf course. We respect that rule. So that's all
Our
right.
biggest event that I would promote during the summer is our couples
I was
golf,
gonna just
and that is on Friday evenings.
I was actually going to say
Okay.
we're not allowed to talk about it
Okay.
Why?
because I feel like it's already so busy.
Oh.
People
It
love
is
I
it.
know,
the place
I
to
know.
be.
Don't bring
in
other
Clarkston
people.
You want to save
It
your
is.
Do not
spot.
come.
It is.
So funny.
Just
I
kidding.
would kind of agree with
Yeah.
Katie here because I'm there almost
Sorry.
every week too.
Yeah,
But it's,
we're
Yeah.
very fortunate, and we don't push it. We're very fortunate. It sells out. It sells
Yeah.
out quickly. It
Yeah.
sells out within.
So if somebody did want to try it, because it's
it'll be
amazing.
it'll be on our website next week.
Yep.
Okay.
So we post 1 month at a time. So we'll put all the Fridays in May that'll be available to sign up for next week.
Okay.
They will probably sell out in 2 days, 3 at
Is
the
it-
most.
You sign up for just that night
Just
or the
that-
whole
You
season?
can-
So
no, one
each
night.
Friday, so next
Oh.
week, the registration
I
for the entire
understand.
month of May will be open.
Yeah.
You can sign up for one, you can sign up for all
So
four.
it's so
you can
great
do,
because nobody's here all summer.
Yep.
Right.
You know, you
Oh, that
don't.
is
And then in
Yes.
mid-May, we'll put up June.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
And
okay.
then you can, so it,
But in mid-May, 2-3 days after it's
Yeah.
up, June will probably be
It's full.
sold out and it'll be a
Yes.
waiting list.
right.
So-
And I used to
That's
say it's the
great.
best kept secret, but it's not a secret
Yeah.
anymore.
Well,
so.
now
like
I
Katie
think,
said,
start
I think the
telling
word of
people
mouth
out
has
there.
spread
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
You
Because
know,
we
So
used
fun.
to, I mean, it was probably like 2005-ish.
Yeah.
It's been around that long, right?
It's been
I'm
around
not
since
making that
08,
up.
since we
09.
started,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we would always do it. You would just call a couple days before
Uh-huh.
or the day of.
Day
and
of.
now
Oh, yeah,
you
you
have
used
to
to be able to
plan,
get in.
like,
Yep.
Yeah. Busy.
when's it going to
It's-
open?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
a
I remember
lot.
one of the first times Christy and I played it together. We didn't have another twosome,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "What are the odds of that? There's
Yeah.
random 2 people?" And I'm
Yep.
like, "Oh, there's only like I don't know, maybe 60 people here or
Yeah.
something like that."
Yeah.
Now it's
It's,
just
it's,
Sold out a month in advance.
yes.
we could
Yeah,
put
no.
probably I think if we wanted to, I think we could put 144 golfers
Yeah, we
on
could.
the golf course for
We
couples
could.
golf if we
Mhm.
could do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
It's
It's
crazy.
a good time
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
It's fun.
that's-
It's
Yeah.
it's a
It is.
lot of fun. So
Good.
Sometimes too much fun.
I was
Yeah.
going to say,
Yeah.
we've all had those
You're not wrong.
moments.
frequently.
I go to work on Saturday mornings, and
Yeah.
those can be tough. So
Yeah.
So I worked in Rochester when we used to do that. And then when I quit Rochester and came to Clarkston,
yes.
we had come out a couple of times and I was like running into patients there. I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Can't
Yep,
go.
this is not a good idea.
That's so funny. What are some upcoming events for Waterfall?
Biggest thing for us right now is Mother's Day is around the corner now. I mean, we've got what, 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks till Mother's Day. That's a big one for us. I always say to everybody, so what about Valentine's Day or this or that? And I said, not everybody's buying something for Valentine's Day,
Right.
but for
Right.
Mother's Day, it's much busier. I think outside of Christmas is probably one of our busier weekends. Because whether it's your mom, your wife, your sister, your grandma, your daughter, somebody knows a mom.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a big one for us. Summertime really gets into more of our slow season at Waterfall. We do get a lot more, seems to be, weddings and engagements that happen with
Yeah.
traffic-wise in general.
Yeah.
Kids are out of school, people are taking time off, they're enjoying the weather. I can play a little more golf. It's all right.
What a
but
good compliment for you, though. Your
Right,
busy season's
right.
opposite.
They are very
That's really
opposite.
nice.
so-
Yeah, smart.
Yeah, it works
Yeah.
out well. I mean, it was my family ending up at Fountains in the golf business was kind of a, I don't want to say a fluke, it was just kind of a
Yeah.
right place, right time scenario.
Yeah.
Okay.
We, at the time, my dad and I were golf partners on Wednesday Night League for a long time. We used to play on Wednesday nights out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And needless to say, the golf course had some struggles down the stretch. And mind you, it was 2006, 7, 8,
Yeah,
the
tough
recession,
times.
things weren't
Yep.
Yep.
wonderful. Golf is what's considered, or at least pre-COVID, was considered a luxury
Yeah.
sport.
Yeah.
Right.
Not anymore. COVID made it crazy.
Yeah.
But the golf course had fallen on a hard time. It was in great condition. The clubhouse was kind of tough,
Yep.
everything. And
Yeah.
Purchased out of bankruptcy.
Yep, it was
Oh,
it
really?
was going bankrupt, and the
Yep.
guys that, well, most guys they played golf together, and my dad and his
Yeah.
brother Rick, my uncle, and Jim, a couple
Yep.
other guys got together and said, "What if we just bought it?"
Yeah.
So
Wow.
Yeah.
that just kind of worked out that
It's
way.
been, it's
and
been, yeah.
now, like I said, there's no plans for it to go anywhere now.
Been a heck
That's
of a
it.
ride. Been a heck of a
So we-
ride, that's for
You
sure.
know, yeah, it's like else. It's been a little wild,
Yeah.
but and having
good.
Al there running all the day to day makes it really easy because he knows it in and out. Everybody knows Al. Everybody,
Yeah.
it's
It's fun. It's fun.
it is fun.
It's work, but it's
For
fun.
sure.
Yeah.
You said you've got to enjoy what you do,
Yeah,
right? The same
exactly.
thing at the jewelry store. I mean, it
Yeah.
can be crazy.
Yep.
Right.
It's nuts sometimes. You get in the holidays and Christmas time and things, but you get done and you sit down and go, "What did I do today?"
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
the-
yeah,
happened?
Like it's just a total whirlwind,
Yeah.
but it's more fun that way.
It is.
Really.
Yeah.
It really is.
And the time goes faster on a work day sometimes too.
Absolutely.
But
Well, it's so great that your dad and your uncle, were
Yeah.
part of the team that brought it into where it's at now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Al and Jim is the other partner.
Jim
Yes,
Schmidt.
Jim
Yeah.
Schmidt.
Jim
Yep.
Schmidt. He's local. He's in Clarkston.
He's
He
local,
lives
right?
lives right behind the golf course.
lives right next to
Really?
it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. He was there this morning. I saw him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like you guys are doing something right for sure.
I think so.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank
Do you
you.
feel like we talked about this? I think before we started. Is it a legacy business for your families, for you guys in particular? Like taking
hope
over the
so.
golf
I hope
course
so.
and-
Yeah, I
That's
hope
it.
so.
Like
Yeah.
I
Jewelry.
said, at least the golf course is something. Unfortunately, my dad having passed away in January, it's something that I'm just kind of going into. We're still
Yeah.
working out some of the legal details and intricacies
No,
and things.
I
but
sure hope so.
I've been around the golf course since they bought it. You know, I'm there,
Yeah.
like I said, even especially in summertime, a couple days a week anyways.
Yeah.
So,
No.
you know, but there's some other family members and things, and we'll see what happens with that. The plan is for it not to go anywhere.
No.
You know, Waterfall, same thing. My cousin Joe and I are you know, running these stores. My aunt's still there almost every day. I know I think she'd like to retire at some point. We'll see. I'm not really sure, but and right now, like I said, I have 6 and 8 year old boys, and they're the only ones right now that would be maybe part of that next generation. So that's wait and see game.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Nice.
we'll
And
find out down the road.
Tommy's birthday today?
Tommy's birthday today.
Happy
He's
birthday,
8 years old
Tommy.
today.
Happy
Happy birthday, buddy.
Tommy.
Well, that's, I mean, it
He
seems
wanted
like
pizza tonight.
he wants
Like
pizza.
that's it, you know.
At the fountains, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, right.
Well, we hope it stays in the family. It stays in
Yeah.
the Fountains family and the Waterfall
Yeah.
family.
Absolutely.
Because that's, just 2 slam dunks for sure. For the whole surrounding area. I feel like,
I think so.
especially all the charitable stuff you guys do. And I don't know, it just says a lot about who you
Feels
guys
right.
are.
Yeah,
it does
it's
feel
like
right.
I said,
Feels
we've
right.
always in
Yeah.
both places. That community involvement has been such a big
Yeah.
thing for us. And, you know, it's better than any advertising you can do, and better than
Yeah.
any, you know, and it's a way to
100%.
give back too to the people that support your business.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Speaking of community, so usually one of our last questions is if you could give a recommendation to someone else who could come on and chat with us on this podcast. We are
I
taking
thought ahead a little
recommendations.
bit about
Oh,
this because
good.
I knew
Oh,
you were
good.
going to ask me
Oh,
this
good.
question. And I don't know if he'll be mad at me for it or not. And as somebody I ran into not all that long ago, but I think he'd be great in the position that he's in now, is Adam Klein. And Adam is actually the former White Lake Police Chief. That's how I got to know
Gosh, it's
him.
my husband's boss.
Yep, and he is
yeah.
the director of Independence Township Parks and Rec.
Yes.
And Adam's just a nice guy. He's fun. He's a
Okay.
good time.
All right.
All right.
So-
we were
Good
just talking about
recommendation.
him
Earlier today. Yes.
Literally, his name came
I don't know if that works now that he's, you know, it's your husband's boss.
I
right?
think it works
like it. I was
just
just trying to think of
fine.
some people I
That's
know.
fine.
Because
Yeah.
you've already had a handful of people on that I
Yeah.
can't refer my wife. She's already been
I
on
know,
here,
but she's going to come
She's
back.
coming back.
She's coming back for round 2.
Round 2.
No,
she's so great.
she's
Yeah.
entertaining.
Absolutely, absolutely. But Adam Klein.
Adam Klein,
Yeah,
yep.
okay, thank you.
Katie knows who it
You
is.
know,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Why?
do
I
you
was,
think?
you know, I
Al
was.
knows everybody.
No,
I know.
but
How do you narrow it down?
I don't know. I
You
mean,
can say 2.
have you
that's
had
fine.
Katie Bowman on yet?
No.
No.
That's a great
That's a
one.
good
I
one.
think
Yep.
Katie, you know,
Okay.
that's a fixture right there on the corner.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was my number one. I don't know if I have no idea if she's available or not, but that was
All right.
one.
Well, it took us 6 months to work this one out.
Yeah, I know. It's hard.
And then who the heck just bought Cherry Hills more? Johnny Black.
Yeah,
Johnny
Johnny
Black's.
Black's. I can't think of
Yeah.
I'm drawing a blank on the name.
I know who the.
Matt Moore, maybe.
Oh, is that who it is? Okay.
Okay.
I know the general manager we've
Yeah.
worked with, but that's
Yeah.
a good
You
idea.
know,
Parker's too.
Yeah, Dave
They're
Park-
local?
Dave Park-
I guess I don't.
Yeah, they
I guess I
are.
didn't know
They're
for
local.
sure they
Yeah.
were local.
Yeah, they're
Okay.
local.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, those are great recommendations.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Perfect. We'll get right on that.
Yeah.
We'll tell them you sent the
No.
recommendation in. They have to come now.
So,
Well, thank you both for being here. We really
No,
appreciate
Thank you
your
guys for having
time.
us.
Thank you.
It was great.
Great.
I've learned a lot. We've laughed a lot. Those are good
Oh.
things.
This podcast is brought to you by Independence Television, located inside Clarkston High School. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Independence Television, Independence Township, or Clarkston Community Schools.